Alright, let's take a look and see if this is working.
Hold up. Hello? This is?
Hello and welcome everyone to a PCs and EVs stream. There may be a decent amount of background audio going on. Got work going on at the house. But today we're going to be building a gaming computer and talking about the state of the electric vehicle market for those of you who have any questions about it. So I've got chat pulled up on my phone over here. As far as the computer we're building, it's going to be an Intel-based processor. It's going to have an NVIDIA graphics card. The processor that we're going with is the Intel Core i5-12400F, which is 6 performance cores, no efficiency cores, and a great mid-range i5. As far as the graphics card we're using, we've got a NVIDIA RTX 3060 Ti, which is probably towards the upper end of what I'd pair with a 12400 at this point in time. As for the motherboard, we do have the Asus Prime B660M -A DDR4. Hello, Dal and Zhao. Yeah. Actually quite useful to have the rainbow drawer set, and it's great for organization. As for storage for this, we are going with a 1TB SSD from Intel. It's going to be an Intel 660p 1TB NVMe. Gotta figure out where the seal is so that I can actually open it. I did not want to open. First thing I generally tend to do is unbox all the parts, get everything opened up, and yeah. That would be quite useful for shoving all the random extra little PC things that you just have otherwise lying around in. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta share the stream link in a couple of places, so let me go do that really quick. Yes, those screw box organizer things have actually been pretty useful as well. I've used them a couple of times. Alright, just clicking through the last couple of spots real quick, guys. Alright, got that all done. So we do have our memory installed. We're going with 16 gigs of DDR4, 3200 CL 161818. We get the processor installed, and then we'll start talking about the electric vehicle market and my general thoughts on where it's at the moment. Alright, now that the most difficult part is done. Oh, I apologize, it's actually an Intel 670p SSD. Hello, I'm live streaming. So as far as my thoughts on where the electric vehicle market is currently, I feel like it's kind of in a flux at the moment. For a lot of vehicles, you still can't go out and purchase one without spending a significant amount over sticker, even taking into account the fact that a significant number of electric vehicles now no longer qualify for the federal tax incentives, which for a lot of people was a purchasing consideration. For those of you who have followed my journey with electric vehicles personally, I never really posted about it on the channel, but I had a RAV4 Prime, which is the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, for those of you who don't know. I had that for a while. I purchased it instead of just a regular RAV4 hybrid due to the fact that it qualified for the federal tax incentive. And nowadays, the RAV4 plug-in hybrids, as well as the Prius plug-in hybrids, both called Prius Prime and RAV4 Prime respectively, those vehicles no longer qualify for the federal tax incentives after the signing of the Inflation Reduction Act. What changed with the Inflation Reduction Act? So, as of the day that the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law, the vehicle had to have final assembly in the United States of America for it to still qualify for any federal tax incentive. And if it did, you have until the end of 2022 to purchase and still qualify for the old type of system, where if the manufacturer has sold less than 200,000 vehicles, it'll qualify for $7,500 back as a federal tax rebate. If they were over that cap, nothing changes, at least for now. And if your vehicle doesn't have final assembly here in the United States, you actually no longer qualify for the federal tax incentive at all, which is kind of crazy. We're just going to socket this in for a moment. Get that on there. Come on. We're going to grab our case. So for vehicles such as the Mustang Mach-E, the F-150 Lightning, and the Rivians, those vehicles do have final assembly in North America. So those vehicles, until the end of the year at least, will qualify for that $7,500 federal tax incentive. One of the big things with the F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E that is currently going on is there's a significant level of markup from the dealers. So they're charging a decent amount of money over sticker for any units that they have on the lot. And then that's generally, if they have a unit on the lot, it's going to be a 2022 model year. Now they have announced pricing on their 2023 model year vehicles, and that pricing itself has actually increased pretty significantly. In some trims, you're up to 8 to 10 grand more than the previous model year for the same packages, which is actually pretty significant when you take it into account. That you could have a vehicle that once was, say, $40,000 in regards to the F-150 Lightning Pro, and that same vehicle in the 2023 model year is a $47,000 vehicle.
Thomas,
Yes.
Twitch says you're not streaming.
Yeah, I'm not streaming on Twitch.
Okay. What are you streaming on?
YouTube?
Okay. Sorry.
Interesting take, but definitely looking to pick up a used hybrid should be a pretty safe bet. A lot of vehicles' hybrid systems have actually been lasting a decent amount of time, and that's shown with all the way back to like the first gen Priuses. Those hybrid systems are still functioning to this day on a significant number of vehicles. So looking for a new vehicle in 2024, hopefully used pricing of cars. Looking to spend around 20 grand for a 2021 or newer Lexus hybrid or Mazda CX-5. Yeah, so one of our viewers, Dalenzal, his sister has a 2008 Prius and still running on the original hybrid traction battery with 200,000 plus miles. Alright, so this should be good now, potentially. So there we go, we do have audio. Apologize, I'm streaming from a Pixel 6 that decided to lock the phone, which ended the Streamlabs stream, and yeah, we're streaming from a Pixel 6. But as far as the state of the car market right now, for used gas cars, it seems to be falling pretty rapidly. For electric vehicles, so far at least, they seem to be holding somewhat steady. Though they seem to have stopped appreciating. I know with Tesla Model 3, for example, though, wholesale value has dropped pretty significantly over the past couple of days. Or past couple of weeks, rather. Hello, Rox. How are you doing? Now, when it comes to the gas versus hybrid versus electric vehicle argument, Make no mistake, yes, gas is going to be more convenient. You do pay for the convenience of refilling with gas, at least on road trips and stuff like that. As far as day-to-day life, if you install a home charging station, I don't see why electric wouldn't, A, generally speaking, be cheaper, and B, generally speaking, be more convenient, because you can just charge it at home and you don't have to stop just for your normal commute and stuff, in the middle of your normal commute to get gas and stuff. I do understand the sentiment of trying to go with like a CX-5 due to the market though. I'm doing pretty good, Rox. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so while something running on like the 800 volt architecture, or even a more high-end 400 volt architecture vehicle for full electric would work for you, you definitely have a bit cheaper of an upfront cost of a gas vehicle. You do pay more for maintenance and more for fuel, generally speaking, but your reoccurring expenses probably are overall pretty similar. Though you got to consider if you're driving significantly across country and stuff, then yes, it is going to be more convenient to get gas. Not because you can't do it with an electric vehicle, just because depending on the vehicle, you may be spending a decent amount of time at a charging station. As far as it goes for hybrid versus gas, take a look at the initial cost of the vehicle. The pricing difference between them, and determine how long you plan on keeping the vehicle. Whether you do a majority city or highway driving, see if you can try and get a guesstimate of like your percentage split, and then you can use that with a couple of calculators to see over the course of using gas probably at about the pricing we have currently, because you can't predict the future with fuel. But check and see how much extra gas you can get for that difference in vehicle price. While yes, having a hybrid is nice because you don't have as high of reoccurring monthly expenses on fueling, just check and see if it makes sense from like a financial standpoint. Like, hey, does that mean that, say it's $4,000 cheaper over the course of 5 years, say it's $100 a month more, okay? Are you going to be saving $100 a month worth of gas? It's something you have to consider. That's entirely reasonable, Dalenzel. Wanting to wait till you're a bit more financially stable to get an electric vehicle? I don't blame you. They currently are quite expensive for pretty much anything except the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Bolt. The new Equinox EV that's coming out from Chevy is going to start at about $30,000, allegedly. I mean, they haven't announced final pricing or anything, but if they are able to stick to that roughly $30,000 price point for the entry-level model, that'd be a pretty reasonable vehicle, assuming it charges a little bit faster than the Chevy Bolts do now. I don't expect anything record-breaking or anything, but for like, say, the standard range battery pack, I'd say you probably should be able to get 80 to 90 kilowatt for a majority of it, for on average up to about 80%. Sure, it may dip below that before 80%, but I'm just thinking like, hey, if you start at 150 and you end at like 40, if the majority of your curve was spent up here, not here, you'd be definitely doing better with road tripping. The more of your battery you can recharge before the charge rate slows down, the less that range is really an issue. Well, the new Nissan Leafs are actually not that bad looking, in my opinion. And they definitely offered, not currently, because they don't qualify for the federal tax incentive anymore. So they just effectively went up $7,500, which, like I was saying, is what the problem is at the moment with the electric vehicle market. A lot of vehicles effectively just got a price increase because they now no longer qualify for federal tax incentives. And yes, so the older ones don't look great. Some of the downsides of the Nissan Leaf is it's got a passively cooled battery. There's no fans in there. There's no liquid in there. It's a passive air-cooled battery. The downsides to that are in hotter states, people are noticing a decent amount of degradation. Now, realistically, for most people, degradation's never really gonna be an issue. But a lot of the people in southern states, who DC fast charge their Nissan Leafs are having more battery degradation than people who DC fast charge them up in the northern states. I agree, it is pretty bizarre how we're like, hey, yes, we want to accelerate electrification. Also, this incentive we've been giving you guys on a set structure for a bajillion years. Let's completely rip that out from under the feet of everyone. Let's instead do something convoluted where as of January 1st, you need to have X amount of battery materials sourced from North America or a free trade country, and X amount of final assembly also needing to be done in the US, and X amount of battery or of total vehicle components being sourced from there as well. It is pretty illogical, but that's mostly the US for you. I know in Europe it's a pretty different situation. I don't know exactly what it is though. So my thoughts on Tesla currently. They've proven that they are a vehicle brand that's here to stay. They're no longer in startup phase. Some people are willing to pay a premium for that. They actively are refining their software stack. Some people are willing to pay a premium for that. Are guaranteed to get updates, whether they be good or bad. You're going to get an update. So depending on how you see that is up to you. But a lot of these legacy automakers, unlike Tesla, are only now starting to get into the software as a service instead of as a final build that gets shipped with the car. Something that is a little bit of a scandal going on right now in the Ioniq 5 community is the fact that Ioniq 5 window sticker says that it will get battery preconditioning for the 2022 model year, and those produced in June of 2022 do get battery preconditioning. those produced in June do get battery preconditioning, as I was saying, but those produced before June do not. They instead have a button that says winter mode. Now, the difference between winter mode and battery preconditioning is pretty significant. Winter mode just means that to enhance your charging experience when you're plugged into a charging station, it'll turn the battery heater on. Battery preconditioning means that if you set your charging station into your navigation as the destination, there's a lot of shins in a row, but basically if you do that, your battery will start preheating before you get to that charging station to enable faster charging speeds right when you get there. Welcome, TechShinji. Tesla does battery preconditioning well, and they do route planning really well. So they definitely have some things going for them. Their network is reliable, it's not the fastest network out there for charging, but it is very reliable. Across their product stack, as you go older, you're going to run into cars that can't charge quite as fast. But across their cars that are actively shipping, all of them have the same charging profile. Well, the same charging max rate. Depending on the battery, they'll have different charge profiles and everything because they use a couple of different styles of batteries. But overall, I think at their current retail pricing, they are massively overvalued for the quality of a vehicle you're getting. Like, personally, I really dislike their minimalist design. But, yeah, I agree, rocks. The infrastructure, the fact that with the Tesla plug, because there's only one network that uses it, and they own, Tesla's the Apple of cars. It's very apparent. They control everything from the hardware to the software. And not everyone's going to like that, but that's the way it is. It's like if you buy an iPhone, we'll say you buy an iPhone 11 right now. Sure, it's not the latest and greatest thing out there, but it's still supported for a couple more years. It's the same kind of thing. You buy a 3-year-old Tesla. Sure, it's not the latest and greatest model year Tesla, but it looks basically the same as the current Teslas, and it's going to do basically all the same things as the current Teslas. Sure, it may not charge quite as fast. So, for example, older iPhones will max out at, I believe, it's either 12 or 18 watts, and the new ones can do 22 watts. Oh no! But it's a very similar experience where it's consistent. You'll run into issues where, just like I run into issues, so my day job, I work for a cellular company, and in my day job, I run into people who get locked out of their Apple accounts pretty frequently. It'd be the same thing comparing that to, like, the security of that, comparing that to how, actually I don't know where this thought process was going, we're going to end that there. But you see a lot of negative media on Tesla. You see a bunch of it. It doesn't help that their CEO is very in the news. Definitely doesn't help their brand image. But in general, if you actually interact with the product that they have, it'd work. And you're not going to have, generally speaking, very many issues with it. I feel like they do take a very Apple approach to warranty and stuff like that, where I don't know how you guys all know that Apple got caught slowing phones down because the batteries couldn't handle the latest updates and stuff to try and prevent crashing. Tesla's going to do the same thing. They're going to limit the battery usage some, which in a car is probably a better idea than in a phone. Though I'm still not 100% sure quite where I stand on it, because I paid for the whole battery, I want to use the whole battery. But also, if the battery's starting to go faulty, I'd like to know what's going faulty on it. Tesla's very anti-right to repair, and that doesn't sit very well with me. The fact that they don't want you working on their cars doesn't feel right. So yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs to Teslas for sure. You're gonna get. I haven't personally owned one, but I've seen quite a few Teslas. Just like with anything, you're gonna get some cars that aren't perfect, but at the price point Tesla charges for some of their vehicles, it becomes a bit less acceptable to have a car that doesn't have the same quality fit and finish. We're almost done cable managing back here in this computer. Yes, I know. They slowed down phones because they wanted the phone to be slower but have a better battery life, which is an anti-consumer move, and they got fined a huge amount for that because it would force consumers to upgrade if their phone got too slow. And you did that without giving customers the option of, hey, yes, I want either all my battery life still, or hey, yes, I want all my performance. Give me just a moment, guys. I have to go grab some pliers. The screw for the I/O panel at the rear of the case is over-tightened and was slow from the factory, so let me go grab some pliers. Looks like I'm gonna have to go downstairs to grab some pliers. So I'll be right back up, guys. And we are back. I do agree, some of the Tesla models do look a bit weird. I know one of you was saying, I know one of you guys was saying that the Model Y looks like an egg. And yeah, I can see that. God, I strongly dislike cases that have these punch out slots. Let's get our graphics card installed. So this is a Montech Air 100. It's a nice case for the amount of money I paid for it. It's a very budget case. Still offers 4 RGB fans, tons of airflow, though you do advertise for them. Okay, let's get our 6-pin and our 8-pin plugged in. Now we are using a Corsair CX550. Should be plenty for an RTX 3060 Ti. Gotta check the time on our Apple Watch Ultra. So the big difference between this and like the older Lane Cool cases though, is it's got mesh. I mean, so this is a hole-punched mesh panel that just pops on and off like that. So I can't say that I dislike this case. It's actually a pretty decent case. I will admit I never really built in those Lane Cool 205s. But for a case that has 4 RGB fans, being at that $60 price point, being MATX, I can't complain. It's even got a controller built in so you can actually cycle through all the colors. And being mesh, I'd say this case hits a lot of the right boxes. Alright, I think that's going to end up doing it for this stream today, guys. No, they are addressable RGB. I think that's going to do it for this stream. We ended up building our computer, and I got to just talk while I did it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing a couple more live streams here shortly. And this was more of like just a rambling video, but I wanted to just share some of my views on the electric car market as it stands today. We'll have more, obviously, in future videos and everything. And I still got to run my Genesis GV60 performance through a highway range test. And I'll make sure that I do the Bolt EUV as well here shortly. Guys, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.